Well, hello and welcome to Little State Big Voices with myself, Shahida, and my fabulous co-host, Tracy.
Hey y'all,
How's it going?
it's good. My daughter did her usual nonsense of calling me early in the morning on the weekends because she knows that I like to sleep in. So she
Hmm.
will consistently FaceTime me early in the morning, knowing darn well I'm trying to sleep. So other than that, I'm good. I'm
But
up.
you look up and sprite and
I'm
beautiful,
ready for the
so
day, but
ready. Yeah, me not so much. I woke up. First of all, I'm fasting because it's Ramadan, so definitely been up since 4:30 and ate breakfast,
Mhm.
said my prayers, and went back to sleep and woke up about 10. But my goal today was to throw away expired foods, reshelve the entire kitchen. So I already started. If you go downstairs now, it looks a hot mess down there. But I started it. And now I just want to drink a water.
It's mental, right? Because
It totally is mental.
you could probably go a whole like 4, 5, 6 hours and not think about water, but because you're fasting and you know that this is um deprivation basically to, to try your will and to get closer to God, like it's constantly on your mind.
It
So,
is.
yeah, that's
Constantly. Because yesterday I had a really good day. I mean, like I was out. I went
okay,
to
that's
the
good.
New England track meet yesterday that was at Reggie Lewis, which was packed. It took me 30 minutes to find a parking space
I was gonna say, where did you park, sis? Because the
on
mosque
Highland
is
Ave.
there. What?
I had to park out. But that's every time they have
So
it.
how did
Every
you
time.
walk?
I walked from Highland Ave to Reggie Lewis.
God bless.
And then on top of that, first I went to the parking lot for RCC, Roxbury Community College. Full, full.
Wow.
Drove around several times thinking people have to leave. Like, once you see your kid run, no.
Yeah, that's one
It
of
took
those
us about
things
35
you might have to park somewhere and Uber, Uber
or
to your
or
destination.
afterwards somebody said I could have just got on the commuter rail.
That's true. And you could have
Let me
got off
right
at
off
Ruggles.
at. Mm-hmm. But it was a good day. And so I was the whole day, did that. I started to go to Frugal Bookstore. Girl, you
Mm,
don't know how bad I want to say Frugal Franny's. I mean, if you're from Massachusetts, you know Frugal Fanny's, but
I
it's Frugal
know.
Bookstore. And my friend Tanya, she posted that that was the biggest African American owned bookstore in New England. So I'm definitely going. I didn't hit it yesterday, but because it got to be late and I wanted to get home, in time enough
I have
to
something
break my
for you.
fast
I have something for you. Remind me to give it to you before you go
before I go where?
to Frugal Books.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking about next week because the planetarium has a tribute to Beyonce at the Museum of
You
Science.
sent that to
I sent
me.
it to you.
Yes, you did. I listen. When were you thinking of going?
I think it's till the end of the month, so I was just like, let's pick a day.
Okay.
No, actually I bought tickets and I don't know what day I bought the tickets for.
Okay.
I gotta check my phone. And they also have a Sesame Street one that I do want to take Autumn to. So it's a Sesame
Ooh.
Street one and it is about the planets. I mean, if you've never been to the planetarium in Boston, you gotta go. It's
Okay, I need to
fabulous.
check. I think, if you went to school, I think in Massachusetts during a certain time, you went to Museum of Science. That was just like you were just gonna go. So, okay, noted. No, that's good. Sounds like you had a good weekend. So, so far. Yeah.
So far,
And
I
and
mean,
and you will persevere. Trust me, when that sun starts going down. And so I taught my son. So Noah he's fasting as
mhm,
well. He has not converted to Islam, but he's very interested in the religion and he's
mhm,
been trying to follow some of the tenets. So he has decided to fast this
mhm.
season and I taught him to just ask Alexa when his sun rise and when his sunset and to plan accordingly. So he can plan his meals around it.
So you have to eat before sunrise. So it
Hmm.
has to still be dark. So you have to check. Yesterday I ate a little later because the sun actually starts breaking through. I think it says sunrise is like six something,
Like 6,
but it actually
17 or 18.
right, but the sun starts breaking through like around 5:30.
So I told him it has to be dark.
Yes.
If you can see the sun, you cannot eat. That's kind of
Or
the
see just the semblance
even,
of
yeah.
light.
So I'm trying to, so Morel was like, yeah, just get up at 4 a.m. and eat. I was like, you have to
That's
understand,
hard.
he goes to bed at like midnight.
He's probably already up.
That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work, bro. He gonna have to find a maybe 5:30. So that's what we were saying is like maybe 5:30. But I was like, he has to get his rest.
Or
We're
go back to sleep like I did.
now see that's the part that I didn't even think of.
Hmm.
So I will mention that to him. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm not up for the day. Up for the day. I'm definitely
so
going back to
my
sleep.
brother-in-law said he normally loses 15 pounds during Ramadan. But that's a man's body,
Yeah,
obviously.
please make that distinction because men lose weight so much easier and faster than women do.
And it's not, you're not doing it for that reason. It's just, it's a side
A
effect
little bit.
of fasting. But yeah, it's a side effect.
It's a little bit. It's to get me like, disciplined, of course, and then the
Yeah.
spirituality of it as well. And because, you have to read the Quran, you're more intent about making your salat during the day and prayer, and you're more intentional about making going to Juma. And usually you break fast, you go to the masjid and there's prayers with the Islam is really about community prayer, so you actually benefit more from going to the mosque or the masjid to pray, which I haven't done because I haven't really gone to the masjid here in Rhode Island. I started going to the masjid Al Quran in Boston when I was 9 years old. Been going there ever since. Children ever since, except for a small break when I lived in Mississippi. And it's like my comfort zone. It's like when I go there, it's like the love, people, I just love it. So I
Is
haven't
that in
gone to
Gold
any other
Hall?
masjid. No, that one is the temple. That one is under Farrakhan. So I'm Sunni Muslim. They're not
Okay.
Sunnis. So that one is on Intervale Street.
Okay. Well, thank you for making that distinction because I think it's important just to understand, even if it's not something that people observe. I think it's important to understand what it is, and why you
Hmm.
do things that you do in Islam. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that with us.
I know one day I'll probably like go in depth and talk about it a little bit more of why because you notice I'm Muslim, but I don't wear hijab. My mother is
Mhm.
in hijab every day. I don't cover, and I'm not, I just feel like every religion, it should be a personal choice about like, what you choose to do in your relationship with God is true. Because men, in my opinion, ruin religion. You know,
That part.
and when I say men, I'm including the women in there. I'm just saying, as human beings, we ruin things because greed comes into it, selfishness comes into it,
Control.
pit control. That's the biggest one, and I know people's like, how can you be Muslim when they're so derogatory towards women? Women are in Islam, women have a whole chapter defining their rights. And they have more rights than, well, the rights that we all enjoy are the rights that are in there. But in some countries, they're not even allowed to read the Quran because the men don't want them to know that. It becomes a thing that's, like you said, about control. So, it's a very personal thing for me and what I choose. I haven't read the entire Quran, but we're supposed to read the entire Quran during Ramadan. And I get so close, and towards the end, I'm just like, I just so
Oh,
close. So I read listened to the entire, but I
yeah, I was
haven't
gonna
read
say,
it.
listen, people can listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's an option as well, but it is best to read. I
Mm-hmm.
watched a video actually the other day about it, and they were saying that if you need to, or if it's, more time conscious for you, you can listen to an audio of it with translation and things like that, especially if you don't speak or read Arabic.
Arabic. And I can read a little bit of Arabic. I say all my prayers in Arabic, but I
Mhm.
don't understand the language as much. I understand the prayers
Yeah.
because I know those, English and in Arabic, but I can't read it. My mother can read, my father can read it. I can't.
Hmm.
So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's very interesting. Maybe one day before it's out because it is Ramadan, but it also is,
Women's History Month.
let's talk about it. That's
So
important.
it is important. I think this year in particular, just because of where we are politically, where we are as a society, Black History Month, I'm a little sad when it ends, but normally I understand like Black History Month is going to end and the spotlight is taken off of it for the world stage. I'm Black 365 days a year. I feel Black history and honor it every single day. But when I ever got that kind of like one of those messages online that was like, oh, walking out of Black History Month, stepping into Women's History Month, this year didn't feel good. It didn't feel great when I saw that message because I felt like as women, when I talk about women, because I used to hold womanhood on this high pedestal. To me, being a woman was part of not just being a black woman, because that's very important and that's its own thing, but being a woman with all women of all walks of life. And right now, I don't feel in solidarity with women of all walks of life right now. So, Women's History Month for me this year, I don't have the feels about it, not the good ones,
Explain to us why you don't feel
because I'm
that
not
way with all
celebrating all
women.
women this month.
Okay. And
That's just the bottom line. Some of y'all don't deserve it. Okay, you shown that in
Mhm.
the poll, you shown that in the voting booth, you shown that in the way you have turned
Your
your back.
everyday actions.
You've turned your back in the way that last week I was online in a group of people that are, complete strangers. It's a group about reality television. And one woman in particular very boldly had her political views front and center on her profile pic. And I'm like, sis, you still doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on this nonsense when you see what's happening, when you see what's happening with what's our quote unquote leadership, you still what ready to like go on the cross for this? No, I don't celebrate people like that. I don't. I celebrate women who are women's women who uplift other women who maintain and uplift the rights and will fight for the rights. There was a time we couldn't vote in general as women, not only black women, but then it took us even longer to get our right as black women to vote. But but there's so many things that men try to take away from us. For women to turn their back on you is very painful for me to digest. And I just don't celebrate every woman this month. So sorry, but not sorry.
Even know if I need to even add to that because I feel exactly what you're saying, and what you're saying is 100% true. I mean, at the end of the day, we have all seen how this has played out as far as like, what Black women have stood for in this country. We have been the upfront in every single protest in this country, and everyone benefits from our bodies,
Hmm.
but they don't want to give us the recognition of our minds and the things that we have done, and do not stand 10 toes deep with us. We stand, I mean, we have our infighting and all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, we show up for each other. But
And
I don't
everyone
even
else.
think they don't stand up for each other. I just want to show you this one quick clip,
Yeah,
right?
let's see
Because
it.
I think
I wonder if this
it
is the clip
kind of
I think it
shows.
is.
It might be. It might be.
No, this is not. I didn't think it was this. Mm.
So they was just getting to the part where let me turn it off.
And they just
But
watching Homegirl. Not one person even said, let me like, because let that have been.
see, and that's my point there. Not one of those people stood up for that woman.
It looks rough in Idaho, but I think that's a red sentiment. I think that's just a red state sentiment. Because I
That was
honestly,
is Idaho, I think.
yeah, it was Idaho, but I feel like in Rhode Island it would have been a brawl. I think it would have been at least. I don't know.
They were all there. They were all championing the same message. They were all against what Doge is doing in their community and, their rights. I don't see black women letting that go down like that.
No,
They didn't even
no,
protect her. Not one person in that audience, not one woman stood up.
not one woman. And
I wasn't expecting the men. I'm talking about as far as women's solidarity goes, not one woman stood
please,
up.
but as black people in general, we have that antenna, right? It's a meme, it's a joke, and it seems funny, but people always say if you're black and you see another black person running, and especially if you see a group of other black people running, you ain't even gonna ask questions. You're gonna follow all those black people and you ask questions when you get there. You're just gonna follow them because you know that's where your ass needs to be. And
Hmm.
the same thing will happen even when I see someone stopped on the side of the road by the cops. If they're black, I'm definitely slowing down and trying to see what's happening over there
Hmm.
because I'm trying to get involved. If
But in a setting like that,
in a
in a
setting like
setting
that, yeah,
like that,
town hall
the
meeting.
men didn't. I would expect a man to set up, but you could hear women yelling, but no one stood up. Not one person stood up, and it was three of them, and it was a room full of people. So I guess they're starting to now see that the things that they voted for, that they thought were going to hurt us and other black people and people of color, are coming back to haunt them. They're coming down on them as well. And when you talk about solidarity, you know, truth be told, when white women fought for feminism, they specifically said they wasn't talking about anybody but themselves.
But and I think I've said this repeatedly on our podcast that my above and beyond is now at a premium, and it is for select individuals who deserve
Hmm.
my above and beyond. So if not that I would be in an Iowa town, Idaho, whatever town meeting, but if in that instance, if I had been in that room last year, I would have stood up and I would have tried to advocate for that woman. 2025, March 2025, Tracy, I probably would have just
I
been
have
like,
to know you. I have
goddamn
to
shame.
know your
That had
name
to
and
be
your family.
my ace boon coon because and I'm talking about that very specific woman. If
Hmm.
listen, I again, I'm a changed woman. I don't want to be this way. I don't want to harden myself because I consider myself a fairly compassionate person, and I still want to lead with love, but I'm also now really taking accountability for who I give my energy to.
Yeah, no, that's
And
fair.
so
And I think,
Women's History Month, I'm not buying your t-shirts. I'm not buying your baseball caps or your gear. I really could care fucking less about Women's History Month right
but
now.
there are a lot of also too, there are a lot of white women out there who are saying exactly what you're saying, that
100%.
they do not
I'm just
deserve
saying women as
us
a
to
whole,
be for
no.
us to be standing 10 toes deep for them, because they know that as a group they have not done that as a group. So, good luck at your
Not,
town
I
halls.
also don't consider this to be an inclusive celebration. I don't consider Women's History Month to be as inclusive as it could be. Another reason I don't give any fucks this month.
Mm-mm.
Just, I will fucking rock out for St. Patrick's Day before I rock out for Women's History Month this year. I will drink a green ass cocktail. I will pull up with my green sweater on the 17th, but
She
Women's
said,
History, yeah, I'm skipping y'all this year.
okay, you know what? I wasn't thinking much about it anyway, but you give me reason to be like, nope, still Black History Month continued.
We'll
March, April, May, June, July.
talk
We'll just
about
keep
it.
saying happy Black History Month.
Talk about it.
Every
Because
month,
I'm
every
not
single month.
done. How about that? I ain't done with it. So, hey. But yeah, that's my piece on that. I don't even want to give it too much more attention, but I do want to recognize the passing of a legend, and I don't use that term loosely.
Yeah.
Angie Stone. The world lost Angie Stone in a horrific car accident. I think it was yesterday or the day before. And people who
I think
don't
it was
know,
yesterday.
it just happened. I think it was like wee
Yeah.
hours. But Angie
Yeah.
Stone, for those who don't know, she sang a lot of songs that people know, like I Wish I Didn't Miss You, Sunshine. She also is famously known for having mothered a child with the singer D'Angelo. So
Mm-hmm.
their child
Which
is
I
named
didn't know until yesterday.
royalty. Yeah, that's so my heart goes out to the family, especially their child together. And it's sad. She was 63 years
And the
old.
theme song for Girlfriends.
The theme for look, I found that out this morning when I was looking on Instagram. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't realize how much this woman has touched our lives. And she actually was in a group. She was in a girls group in the 70s called
Mm-hmm.
The Sequence. And
I knew
I
she was
didn't
in a
even
girls group, but I didn't know that was the name.
I didn't even know that. I actually found that out from our friend Natasha Mason Walker. She's the
Mm-hmm.
one that posted, I
You
think
gave
she
her
either
full
posted
government
it
name.
or sent it to me. I did. I did. Shout outs to Natasha, a queen. I sure did. She sent it to me. She said she had that. She called it a maxi single or something. 'Cause she had the record back in the day. I didn't even know she was in a group. My first intro to her was like the 90s when neo
Of
soul
course
really started
Natasha would have it.
kicking off. Yeah, she said she owned it. And I was just like, my heart broke because I feel like she was like the soundtrack to my prime years, those late 90s, early
Mm-hmm.
2000s when I was fit and fine. Listen, I
Mm-hmm.
remember it's a nostalgia for me. And it's just very sad when someone especially
Yeah,
dies from something other than natural causes at such, a young
I
age.
know.
She was still doing
Car wreck.
music. She was still doing
Yeah,
interviews. I
she was
mean,
coming from a tour. Well, she was coming from a one night gig that she
yeah,
did for some group, but still she was out there. And then she was
yeah.
on her way to another one. So,
Blessings to her, her family, everyone who felt that impact because that's a loss. That's definitely a loss for music and for the
yeah.
community, for the culture. So
And
rest
so,
in
and you were
peace.
telling me you had an interesting story that I know that Gene Hackman died, he and his wife
Yes.
and the dog.
One of the dogs, yes.
One of the dogs died this week
Yes.
as well. And I mean, Gene Hackman, I mean,
The
I'm trying to think of like,
original Lex Luthor, for those who don't
right,
even
he
know what we're
was.
talking about, because this man is 95.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're Gen X. So what's funny is when we were growing up, all we had was movies with people like Gene Hackman and freaking Glenn
Mm-hmm.
Close. Like we were just watching weird movies with old ass people in them. That was like our generation. So, it wasn't unusual to be in like second grade and you're like, yeah, I know who Gene Hackman is, in the 80s and 90s and things like that. But he was 95 years old and he was married to an Asian woman she
Yeah.
appeared to be much younger. I don't know her exact age, but
Mm-hmm.
I think a maintenance crew, like maybe people who are upkeeping their house or their yard or something, found both the husband, Gene, and his wife deceased in the house and one of the dogs who was in a crate. So I think the dog may have died of starvation potentially. The other dogs had access to go in and out through a doggy door, so they were able to leave the house and maybe scavenge for food. And that may have been what kept them alive for like food and water. I think maybe what happened is with both the husband and wife deceased and no one there to look after the dog that was crated, the dog also passed away. But the wife was found, I believe, in a bathroom and the bedroom with the space heater on, which was I'm like, y'all are supposed to be wealthy people. I don't know why you got a space heater going, but
But
I mean,
they were not
I don't know where exactly they
because
were.
I don't think he lived in
I
California.
thought
I
it
think
was
he
out
lived like
west
in one of
somewhere.
those middle, yeah, in one of those, I think it's one of those middle states.
But
But
yeah,
it's
he was
still, you gave a scenario about how the dog could have died.
well, so
They were, they,
they
go
were
ahead.
saying that maybe there were mixed commentaries, but some were saying that maybe the dog had swallowed some pills because they found a bottle of pills near the wife. And I'm like, that could have been just her
There's a whole
regular.
lot of weirdness going on with
But
those
they
deaths.
had been there so long, and maybe it was the space heater, but the wife's hands and feet were mummified according to reports. So that she had been gone for a while. And I believe he died first and then she died later. So I'm like, sis, how did he die a few days before you?
But how did she get to be mummified?
It might have been the space heater.
That's
It's so
weird.
bizarre. It's almost like a murder mystery. It's like something you'd see on not SVU because that's not sexual, but on Law and Order or something like that. And he had a pacemaker in, which is how they were able to determine almost to the minute when he died because the pacemaker has, keeps
Okay.
record. And so it appears that he died first. So I'm like, what were you doing, ma'am, just walking around for days and he was just laid out in the house?
Wow. I don't know. That's
But they're
weird.
saying he looks like he died from a sudden fall. So he didn't even die of
Like natural
necessarily
causes.
old age, right? At 95,
Mm-hmm.
he was still, still kicking or whatever. But yeah, the original Lex Luthor from
And he
the
was an enemy of the state with Will Smith. That's one of my favorite movies. I
he
love
was
that
in a
movie.
lot of stuff. Gene Hackman
Yeah.
was a very well-known actor. And it's
Oh,
just,
what's the other one? Bonnie and Clyde.
yeah,
Bonnie and Clyde. I don't, yeah, I need to hear
I
more
need to know
on
more.
this
I need to know what
because,
really happened because very sad. Rest in peace to both of them. But her being so much younger, I'm
mhm,
like, did she take some pills? Was it like a murder suicide pact? Like maybe, but if he fell, that's not a murder suicide. Oh, I mean,
it could be
it could be. It could be.
because she could have murdered him, pushed him down the stairs, and then taken the pills.
It took her a minute though. Homegirl was
But how
thinking
how
about.
much younger? Because she was like in her 40s.
She definitely wasn't 95. If at
No,
the,
she wasn't. I
I
think she
don't
was
know
like
how
in her
old she
40s or
is.
50s. I thought I read that she was like, maybe 20, 30 years younger. I mean,
Definitely
again,
younger, but they were together
90.
for a while. They've been
Yeah,
married
they've been
since like
together
the
for a
early
long time.
2000s, I think. Well, they've been photographed together as like as far back as the early 2000s. So they've been together for some
Mm.
time. But it's just, and I'm sure things will, stories will develop. And I don't know if he had children or what the story is, or,
I
if
think he had a
people,
couple of children from his first marriage.
yeah, or if people were checking on him or whatnot. But, it gets you thinking and it gets you just like, wondering like what really happened. And maybe they have cameras in the house. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people. Do you have cameras in your house?
I do not. I'm not a fan of having cameras inside. I have cameras outside,
Outside, yeah.
but
I'm not
not
a fan of having them
inside.
inside either. I know a lot of people do, and sometimes you'll see like videos and of people like posting things that happen in their house. I don't think I would feel
I
comfortable.
walk around naked too much to be having cameras going inside my house. I hate clothes.
It's like,
I get dressed for y'all.
but I do stupid shit in the house, and I don't know if I want to
Just
have
start
that
walking around
recorded.
just dancing and
Sometimes, yeah, it's like I
screaming,
don't know if
Mustard.
I want that. Yeah, whatever. It's like I don't know if I want that all just captured for whatever reasons. And I don't like it's like my house is one thing. I don't like the idea of going to someone else's house and they have cameras.
I've even thought of that. I never thought of that, but there are people, like you said, like I know people, well, I know a person who literally every time they enter their home, they
Hmm.
have their gun drawn and they do a sweep of their house. I'm like, maybe I'm
Damn.
too trusting. So I imagine someone like that would also have cameras inside.
But you have cameras. So I'm pretty sure you have cameras outside and then you have cameras inside. So every time you go in your house, you would literally have to have your gun drawn and do like a sweep.
A person told me this, and it was a man who was in a relationship, and he and his partner, female partner, they would do the sweep. It's like, I can't live like that.
That's why I have the camera. I can see who's going in. I don't know, but yeah, that's a lot. So I feel like, but it also keeps you in check too. Like, if I go into your bathroom, I'm not gonna go looking through your shit in your bathroom because you might have a camera in the bathroom.
Speaking of
If
cameras
I'm
in the
in your living
bathroom,
room and you in the kitchen, and then I start trying to like
I
trifle through
want to
some stuff,
see
I
what people are
wouldn't.
doing. And yeah, I don't really want to see. I don't want like people who belong in this house. I don't want to see what they're doing. To be honest, I live with three men. I don't want to see
Mhm.
that shit. I don't want to see none of it. I don't want to see the any of it. I won't even get into detail. But speaking of cameras in bathrooms, in Rhode Island, they recently apprehended someone who had cameras. I believe it was Brown University
No, it
in
was Rick, Rhode
Rick,
Island
Rhode
College.
Island College. in the women's bathroom.
It was
Cameras.
it wasn't just the women's, it was a all
Oh,
sex
it's
bathroom.
unisex.
Yeah.
Why,
So, and
sir?
then someone saw it, someone did. It's like, I think that's a camera, and then went and, told facilities, and it was gone within a half before facilities got a chance to take a look. So they knew that it was somebody
Because
in
they
the
were there
school.
watching and
Mm-hmm.
saw someone say, "Oh, the camera," and then went and took it down because it was someone, wasn't it someone who worked for the school?
Yeah. It
Crazy.
was making This dude was making like 85,000 a year, and he probably was making 10 times that because he was selling that on the dark web.
Imagine, first of all, I hate public restrooms, period. I don't really
Hmm.
like using them. But when you have to go, you have to go. But the violation, like, and I think about places that I almost consistently publicly use the bathroom, and that would be like airports. Can you
Hmm.
imagine, like, you're using the restroom and people are just watching and deriving some kind of sick pleasure from watching you use the bathroom?
But worse than that, you using the bathroom. What about your children using the
Children,
bathroom?
right.
That's the worst part.
Because it is a college, so I'm sure there are a lot of cute young women, but little kids also go to
Go to
visit
colleges.
colleges, to visit,
But just anywhere. Little kids go to the
anywhere.
bathroom anywhere. And
Yeah,
when you do that at one place, then of course, you have to be wary that it's done a lot of places.
right. Yeah, that's awful. I'm glad
People
they
are sick.
apprehended the person, but I'm like, and I hope they file some kind of suit against them because your security doesn't patrol the premises, and maybe that's not something that was on their radar before, but it needs to be on
Hmm.
their radar now.
On everybody's
I
going
know you're
forward.
charging buku bucks to go to Rick, and part
Hmm.
of that fee is security, keeping the
Hmm.
place secure. You know, I ain't telling y'all what to do, but it sounds like a lawsuit to
Yeah,
me.
that's a lot. Did you hear about, speaking of trafficking and all that other stuff, about those two men that were arrested in Romania for trafficking women, were invited to the United States by the White House? They're the most disgusting human beings. How they
No,
talk about
did not hear
women.
about that.
Goodness, I'm gonna have to actually pull that up. But the fact that we are openly, unless they're trans or gay, but we are openly inviting people who sex traffic women and children as if that is a normal thing. But it is normal because I always say that Republican men are trying to normalize and actually make legal the underage dating. They are. I don't care what anybody says.
If you've ever spoken to anyone who studied criminal justice, the amount of
Mm-hmm.
stuff they teach you in criminal justice in college, if you go to a college that actually is open about being honest and truthful, the stuff that they learn is so damning and so scary. That's why anytime I see like anyone post that someone's, missing or in
Mm-hmm.
danger or potentially kidnapped or a runaway, I always try to repost it because you don't know if that person got snatched. You don't know if that person got, bamboozled into sex trafficking or anything. And it's not just women, it's not just grown women. A lot of times it's very young girls and very young boys. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very sad and it's
And
very
scary.
scary. Exactly. So, and I hate the thought of having to be armed, with pepper spray or with a gun or anything like that. But it's something that people really need to start examining while you still
Yeah.
can have those things, while
Mm-hmm.
you can still go and request a gun license, while you still can go and get pepper spray from your police department or get the permission for it. Start exploring those options because you may need them.
Yep. Yeah. Well, on that note, let's end with a little happy news.
Yeah.
Shout out to Vermont for booing the vice president and his family as they tried to sneak away for a little ski trip. When I say Vermont, now those are some sisters that stood on some solidarity, but it was one on one. But they stood up and they booed that man for blocks, to the fact that where he was going to stay, they had to change it to a secret location. Good job,
And I
Vermont.
feel bad for his children,
I
but
don't.
I don't
I
feel bad
don't.
for his wife because I'm like,
I
sis,
don't.
you
I
have
don't feel
options.
bad for his children because they are going to be raised by this man. And until they are adults and can make their own decisions, and then they tell me themselves that they are not the product of how you are about women, I am about racist children's,
Mm.
or children of races. For the simple fact is, we have given little children who will come to the school and harass our children, calling them monkeys and everything, and say, well, they learned it from home. Well, when did they start getting some punishment and feeling some retribution? Because then they just grow up to keep doing the same stuff. So I don't feel sorry for anybody
I don't
anymore.
think those kids are gonna get as much of a chance to do that because their mama's brown and I haven't seen them, but I'm guessing they're a little bit brown too.
Girl, we know. Look at where they are now. They're going to do the same exact thing. And look at the guy who's Hispanic and runs the Proud Boys. He's a huge fighter
He got
and brown,
with
and brown.
negroid features. I was like, bro,
But you can't tell him that he is not out there fighting for white superiority with a full chest. So those kids will grow up the same way unless their mama intervenes.
let's hope they break the mold in 20 years from
Until then, they
now.
can't tell me nothing until 20 years from now because they're probably going to go to school and terrorize some other damn kid.
Yeah, but I'm glad they drummed them out of
I'm glad too.
their
And I hope
spot.
those kids could read. Please read. I hope that you could read what those signs were saying
Those
because
folks
they deserved it.
they've been eating their Ben and Jerry's. Good for you, Vermont.
So that was my good news. What's going on in Rhode Island before we
Rhode
check out?
Island, we are going to have fun this month in Rhode. There's so
I
much to
know.
do. First of all, so there's the Little Rhodey Laugh Riot, which I am so excited about. That's going to happen March 27th through the 30th, and it's going to happen at multiple venues. I mean, from places like not just Comedy Connection, not just PPAC, but also places like the Vets, Alchemy, which is a small club. There's so many activities happening March 27th through the 30th. So you can get your
Leslie
ticket.
Jones is going to be in
Yeah,
town.
Leslie Jones, Aziz Ansari,
Mm-hmm.
who else? Kevin Hart,
What's his name? Joshua.
Josh Johnson, Jonathan Van Ness, and there are more
Mm-hmm.
women too. I don't know why I'm blanking on the
Mm-hmm.
female acts that are coming, but there's some great female acts that are going to be there too. That should be a lot of fun. There's also I was a Girl Scout, I was a brownie and a Girl Scout, so
Mm-hmm. I was a Girl Scout.
shout
Mm-hmm.
out to my troops. There's cookies and cocktails happening this Thursday, March 6th. Sorry, why say May? March
Mm-hmm.
6th. And that's going to be here locally at Fresh Farm RI. And that's going to be
Nice.
an evening where the cocktails are all Girl Scout cookie themed. So come on now. It's
I told
supporting the
you
Girl
my
Scouts.
fiasco about eating the whole box of Samoas. Well, then the caramel delights now.
Just recap it for our friends. You briefly discussed it, but recap it for
Last
the
week,
listeners.
I ordered some Girl Scout cookies from a coworker, and I got Samoas and lemonade, which I had never tasted lemonade before. I gave a lot of those away, but I ate those. But then I
The
ate the
best.
whole box of Samoas, and I'm not a bit. I'm not. This is not a shout out to the Samoas or the caramel delights, but it is a shout out to those lemonades. Those cookies are absolutely, yes, chef's kiss. They are delicious. So I
I love
ordered two more
those.
boxes.
Those are so
I ordered
good.
two more boxes from another coworker whose daughter was selling some, and I'm like, I cannot wait for those to come. That's going to be my like little breakfast treat in the morning before I shut it down. And maybe, you don't break fast with like sweets, but those are delicious. Y'all did the business on that one because those are not like the old lemon cookies, shortbread
No, the
cookies
lemonade, because they have that glaze, that lemon glaze bottom. That's the sweet spot. It's the shortbread. It's
with the
simple,
glaze.
but
Yes.
it is just on point. I could probably eat a box or a bag. What is it, a bag? You know,
It's a box.
when I was selling them, they were $1. When
Yeah,
I
when I
sold
was
Girl
selling
Scout
them, they
cookies,
were
they were
like a
$1.
dollar or whatever.
They like $5 now. So I was like,
No, $6. $6.
go ahead, support the girls. So
I
actually,
did.
here's some Black women's history. My aunt, who is 83 years old, she worked for Girl Scouts of America. And
Mhm.
that's why she encouraged my mother to get me into the brownies because you're a
Mhm.
brownie first. And I think there's daisies now, the younger group before brownies. I wasn't a daisy, but I was a brownie
Mhm.
with the brown uniform and the sash. I had my beret, it was cute. And then
Mhm.
I became a Girl Scout where we got the green uniforms, but I earned a lot of
Mhm.
badges. I shout outs to the Girl Scout organization. They taught a lot. I said, let me ask my mother. My mother, she keeps a lot of things. So I have to ask her if she has my sash, I'm rocking it to the event on
I have
Thursday
Mia's too.
because I'll be there. I'll definitely be
Mhm.
there, but it'd be interesting to find out what happened to my sash and all that stuff. But yeah, I loved being a Girl
But
Scout. I
that's
really enjoyed it.
I was at the Girl Scout, our troop, and my daughter was as well. We had one at the masjid. So, and we would go camping. We did trips to New York.
Yes,
We went
girl,
to
we
the
made real
embassy.
s'mores.
Oh my goodness. We had to go. But you know what? I have not had I didn't have a s'mores until I want to say 50,
So
a few years ago.
you'd have to make sure that the marshmallows are halal because marshmallows
Hmm.
sometimes are not halal and have pork byproducts in them.
So the only time I usually buy marshmallows is around Passover. So it's
You know that
Ramadan
they're
and Passover
kosher.
is around this. There, it's only certain stores that you'll go to that it will say that it's kosher. But usually around Passover, they're all in.
So can I tell you, so when I was in Brownies and Girl Scouts, I was the
Hmm.
only black girl in my troop. It was all white kids because I did it in Wayland where I went to
Oh,
school.
okay.
And because the town is like super wealthy,
Hmm.
when we would go camping, we had steak, we had like baked potatoes. It was so bougie, which is
That's
why I
funny.
don't I don't mind camping, but if I go camping again as a grown person, it has to be glamping because they set a precedent.
But you know what? To be honest, I don't think I've ever been camping without steak and potatoes.
Well,
Everywhere I went, there was always potatoes. That's
to
why
be
I'm a
nine,
potato person.
to be nine
Hmm.
years old and they're
Hmm.
just giving you, how would you like your steak?
Yeah,
Medium well.
I don't, for some reason, that doesn't seem too far-fetched for me. I get it.
And
I'm
that's
down
what's
with
up.
you.
I feel like that should
Hmm.
be the Girl Scout experience for everybody.
Hmm.
I never roasted a weenie when I went camping.
I
Maybe
did do
someday.
that, but they were kosher or halal.
I like it. I like it.
So, okay, so you're doing that on Thursday.
That's Thursday. I'm like, there's a lot going on, but you can actually visit our Instagram page. I post a lot of stories and I share a lot of
Hmm.
stories, not just from our podcast, but from other like podcasts around Rhode Island who may be sharing news and information as well as businesses. There's still like I said, we're still honoring blackness. And so you'll see a lot of black owned restaurants still being reposted on our page, black owned businesses because we did have an economic blackout on the 28th.
Hmm.
Now, I
Oh,
don't
we're
know if
supposed to talk
everybody
about
was
that.
able to hold up their end of the bargain, but the goal that day, February 28th, 2025, was to have an impact financially and to not patronize big businesses. If you had to buy, try to buy from small BIPOC businesses, preferably Black businesses, since it was Black History Month. And that's not actually a hard thing to do if you live in a major city like Rhode Island. I can't speak to other places, but plenty of time was given for people to prepare in advance. So yeah, hopefully people did that. And for people saying, "Well, it's not going to make a difference," it does make a difference. Every dollar counts to a big corporation. Trust and believe that. They feel, even if it's a small impact, they will feel. And if you can do it for longer, do it.
That's my intent, to be more intentional about doing it for longer. Like Target is totally off the list for me
Yeah.
as it is. And I see a lot of posts people saying, "Well, why is everybody concentrating so hard on Target?" And I say again, they're concentrating so hard on Target because Target went in so hard with the DEI and with, we stand with Black Americans, we stand with, like, equity. They went in extremely hard, harder than any other corporation.
So,
So that's why I'm going in so hard on them.
food for thought. If it wasn't important, would the shareholders be suing Target for reneging on it. That's how much money they know they're going to lose because Target backpedaled on this. So if it didn't matter, the shareholders wouldn't care. The
I don't
share
think a lot of black women are going to go back to
and the
Target. I really
shareholders are
don't.
not, the shareholders don't give a damn about diversity,
Hmm.
equity, and inclusion. They care about their coin. So
Hmm.
that just goes to show how impactful the black dollar is and just the dollar in general for the market of diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is not just us, it's the disabled, it's LGBTQ, it's Women's History Month. It's, all the things that go into inclusion and diversity for the United States. I can't speak to the rest of the world. I can only speak about
Right.
Target USA. But if it didn't matter, the shareholders wouldn't have said a word and they would not be litigating right now about it. So just think about that. That's how important it really is.
And speaking of around the world, I listened to a British podcast, Your Aunties Could Never, and they're
Hmm.
talking about it and they're boycotting and they're in the UK. So,
Go ahead. Thank you, sister.
black women all over. And then shout out to my girl Kat because, she didn't bring it up to me, but I wasn't gonna say anything about it because I'm like, you know what? This is something black women are doing. But nope, she brought it up. This is what I'm doing. Fuck them, blah blah. That's my girl. That's my
That's
girl.
right. Go ahead, Kat. I don't know you, sis, but I appreciate you.
So yeah, it does make an impact. And if you can go for long, especially with Target, because there are other alternatives than Target in Walmart. You just really have to, like you said, have a car. You might have to go a little farther and think about where you spend your business. Like my thing is, I'm thinking of doing once a month my business at Tropical Food Mart in Roxbury. I didn't know how big it was, so that's my
Love it.
goal.
Oh my God. They have
I
some
haven't been
amazing,
since
amazing bread. Amazing. But
once a
Latinos,
month. I can do that.
you're still in timeout. I'm just saying, you're still kind of in
Hmm.
timeout. We're gonna test the waters, and I say that
Hmm.
as a proud Latina. Y'all niggas are still on timeout because y'all did some diabolical shit, and we are here for that reason. So I'm just letting y'all know that I used to just blindly go into Latinx businesses and patronize them. I'm being very particular now with y'all
Me
too.
too.
So
Hmm.
just bear that
Hmm.
in mind. But I would like to end on a very high note, something that I think it's my gift to you. So in addition to the other gift I have for you that I'm going to give
Hmm.
you before you go into Boston, I want to give you this gift. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you heard about the Muslim Cafe in Shrewsbury, Mass?
I did. I did.
And that they're open late for Ramadan hours?
No, I did not know that.
They are. They're open until 11:30 p.m.
What?
tonight.
What? There is an Iranian coffee shop right around the corner from me on
Look at
Mineral Spring that I went to the other day with my father. And they have hookah in there. They have like get some of the
nice.
best coffee.
Do you know the name of it?
Is it Ashura?
Definitely, that's something to keep in
On
mind.
Mineral Springs.
So this location, so this is a chain apparently, and there's one coming to
Yeah.
Rhode Island soon, and they're called
Mm-hmm.
MOTW Coffee and Pastries, and they serve halal everything, pastries, coffees,
Mm-hmm.
you name it. Really, I'm excited about that. And I've said this before on our pod, Rhode Island is one of the states I'm so proud that you can go get a meat lover's pizza and it will be halal and you can enjoy your pizza without stress. Because I don't eat
Yeah.
pork. I'm not Muslim, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat pork. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I am very adamant about. I haven't eaten it since 2018. And I love a meat lover's pizza. So I just love the fact that Rhode Island gives you options.
Where did you get a meat lover's pizza that was halal?
So it might not be halal, but it's beef. So I should be careful using that term because just because it's beef doesn't mean it's halal. But it's Lord, what is the name of this place at the corner? Golden
Golden
Crest.
Palace? Golden
Golden
Christ?
Crest.
I didn't know that.
Golden Crest.
Really?
You can get beef toppings. They don't have any pork toppings.
So, like their pepperoni is a beef pepperoni. Girl, if I wasn't fasting, I'd go get one right
Listen,
now.
no, and then I hate to be talking about food and getting you hot and bothered, but if you want to take a ride down to MOTW in Shrewsbury, they got you till 11:30 tonight.
I know. How far is Shrewsbury from here? Isn't
I
that on the
don't
North
know.
Shore? I think that's on the north of Boston.
Is geographically, I start losing interest. But it's a reason to go over there. But there are certain places that just, you know, I'm
And you said they are
interested.
coming to Rhode Island.
Yes, so supposedly they're coming to Pennsylvania, Virginia, New York, Wisconsin, Rhode Island. They're already in Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
Illinois, Connecticut, Mass, and Texas.
Wow. It depended on the one in Connecticut. It might be closer than Shrewsbury.
Yeah, it might be. We might have to take a little field trip.
And again, right here in Mineral Springs. I
I'm
think it's
down.
called Ashura, Ashura, Iranian. Had no
Find it and
idea.
I'll repost it.
Do so because it was good. I had a steak and cheese sub. It was good, but the coffee was delicious.
Yum.
My father was like, "Oh, when I was in Qatar, I had coffee just like this in this little mug." I'm like, "Okay, dude."
Little Turkish coffee.
He was bragging. He was bragging about his trip. But
But that's
anyway,
wonderful. I'm glad your parents have memories from that trip because that though it's
oh,
like
they
a
had a lovely
yeah,
time.
the experience, it's a long way to go. It's very hot, but the experience is unmatched apparently.
That was like a 16-hour flight.
But probably very luxurious because their airlines look so amazing.
My mother said it was like a nice plane. It was big, but it wasn't all that for 16 hours. But they slept a lot too. So, but I can't imagine being on a flight for 16 hours.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Well, until next time,
You know where
you
to
can
find
find.
us.
Okay.
You know where to find us. You can check out our stories on Instagram at Little State Big Voices, on Facebook at Little State Big Voices. Where will you not find us still, Shahida?
On MF TikTok, because
We ain't
I'm
on there.
trying not to curse as much.
You
But
can
no,
look
we are
at our
not on
old stuff.
TikTok.
Yes, we will keep Shahida pious
You
this
are
month.
not gonna play in our face, TikTok. You're not gonna play in our
No, tired of
face.
you. Tired of you.
Hmm.
Well, we might come back around. We don't know in the summertime. Work
I
on
don't
your
think
summer
so.
body, and we might come back later.
Yeah.
But you can also listen to us on Spotify or watch our full episodes on Spotify and YouTube at Little State Big Voices. Very simple. You can also email us at littlestateBigVoices at gmail.
I wish you would. Just email us.
Send
Tell
us
us what you want
for
us to talk
any
about.
reason. If you have someone
Say
you think
hello.
we should talk to, if you need advice, if you have some places you want us to spotlight, hit us up.
And we will spotlight you. Email
Yes.
us. All right. So until next time, have a great week.
Yes.
Ramadan Mubarak for all my Muslim friends fasting. And happy what? Women's
St.
History.
Patrick's Day.
Okay.